Imagine a banquet fit for kings, where every dish is a masterpiece, every goblet a jewel. But beneath the glittering surface, a sinister secret lurks. For millennia, those at the pinnacle of power lived in constant fear, the fear of poison. The weapon of choice for assassins, a silent killer that could fell an empire with a single bite. To combat this invisible threat, rulers turned to a most extraordinary and terrifying solution: the royal food taster. A person whose job description literally meant risking their life with every meal, every day. Their story is one of unwavering loyalty, unimaginable courage, and the constant dance with death. For ancient monarchs, emperors, and pharaohs, their position was both a blessing and a curse. Surrounded by opulence and dominion, they were also besieged by enemies, rival factions, ambitious family members, and disgruntled servants. Poison offered an insidious, often untraceable, path to usurpation. Unlike a public assassination, poisoning could be attributed to natural causes, leaving no clear trail and sowing widespread distrust. This constant, creeping suspicion transformed every meal into a potential death sentence, making a king's dining hall one of the most dangerous places in the realm. The poisons of the ancient world were as varied as they were deadly. From naturally occurring toxins like hemlock, belladonna, and aconite, to sophisticated concoctions derived from snake venom or arsenic, assassins had a frighteningly wide arsenal. These substances could be tasteless, odorless, or slow-acting, designed to mimic natural illness. Detecting them without advanced scientific methods was an art form in itself, relying on keen observation, folk knowledge, and grim experience. The tasters weren't just eating. They were performing a primitive form of toxicology, often with their own lives as the ultimate test subject. Nowhere was the fear of poison more pronounced than in imperial Rome, a hotbed of political intrigue and dynastic ambition. Emperors often met their end not on the battlefield, but at their own banquets. Poison became a favored instrument for consolidating power or eliminating rivals, particularly within the ruthless Julio-Claudian dynasty. The very act of dining, a cornerstone of Roman social life, became fraught with peril. It was in this climate of extreme suspicion that the role of the pregustator, or royal taster, became not just common, but utterly essential to a ruler's survival. Their lives were a shield, their sacrifice a potential safeguard. Perhaps the most infamous Roman poisoning involved Emperor Claudius in 54 AD. Accounts vary, but the general consensus points to his wife, Agrippina the Younger, orchestrating his murder to secure her son Nero's succession. The chosen weapon? A plate of poisoned mushrooms, a dish Claudius particularly enjoyed. Despite the presence of taster, or perhaps through their complicity, the poison found its way to the emperor. This chilling episode perfectly illustrates the futility of even the most rigorous precautions when betrayal came from within the highest circles of trust, underscoring the taster's constant vulnerability. After Claudius's death, his stepson Nero ascended to the throne, and the notorious poisoner Locusta rose to prominence. She was an expert in her deadly craft, often employed by Agrippina and later by Nero himself to eliminate political rivals and family members. Locusta was a dark artisan, refining poisons to be precise, potent, and undetectable. Her very existence highlights the era's sophisticated understanding of toxicology, even if rudimentary by modern standards. The fact that such a specialist was openly utilized underscores the grim reality faced by Roman emperors and, by extension, their food tasters, who had to contend with such formidable adversaries. Long before Rome, the pharaohs of ancient Egypt also lived under the shadow of assassination. Their highly structured courts implemented meticulous systems to safeguard the royal person. Food preparation was a sacred, tightly controlled process, overseen by trusted eunuchs and priests. Every ingredient, from the Nile's bounty to exotic imports, was scrutinized. The food taster, or chief of the king's wine cup, played a pivotal role, not only tasting but also inspecting dishes for unusual colors, smells, or textures. Their vigilance was a spiritual duty, ensuring the pharaoh's divine health and the stability of the realm. Centuries later, the elaborate courts of the Ottoman Empire also relied heavily on food tasters, known as sesnager. The Sultan's meals were an intricate dance of protocol and precaution. Not only did a taster sample every dish, often consuming a significant portion, but the food itself was prepared in a highly secure, isolated kitchen by specific loyal cooks. The tasters themselves were often trusted slaves or eunuchs, whose loyalty was assured through years of service and the implicit threat of severe punishment for any failure. This multi-layered defense system aimed to protect the most powerful man in the world from a hidden death. In medieval Europe, the fear of poisoning permeated the castles of kings and nobles alike. Dynastic struggles, feuds, and religious conflicts often led to poison being discreetly administered. Food tasters, or cupbearers, were commonplace. Their duty extended beyond just tasting. They often used primitive poison detectors like certain stones, bezoars, or even unicorn horns, which were believed to change color in the presence of toxins, though these beliefs were largely unfounded. Still, the ceremony of the taster served as a potent psychological deterrent, a visible reminder that the Lord was protected, and an overt warning to would-be assassins. The daily routine of a royal taster was a meticulously choreographed dance with destiny. Each dish, each drink, was presented with solemn gravity. The taster would often pour a small portion onto a separate plate, or sip from a goblet, observing for effervescence, discoloration, or any unusual reaction. Then, they would consume it, often with the ruler watching intently. This wasn't a quick bite. It was a deliberate, agonizing wait for symptoms to manifest. Minutes stretched into an eternity, every swallow a potential last breath. It was a macabre performance, repeated for every course, every meal, every day. For the food taster, recognizing the symptoms of poisoning was paramount. Acute poisons would often manifest quickly: sudden stomach cramps, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, or a burning sensation in the throat. More insidious toxins could cause confusion, paralysis, or even a slow, agonizing death mimicking illness. A taster had to be an astute observer of their own body, capable of discerning the slightest abnormality. Their ability to react, to sound the alarm, even in their dying moments, could mean the difference between life and death for their sovereign. It was a brutal form of biological early warning system. Imagine the psychological toll of such a life. Every meal could be your last. Every taste a gamble. Tasters lived in a constant state of hypervigilance, unable to truly relax around food or drink. They were isolated by their grim duty, simultaneously trusted and feared. Their loyalty was unquestioned, yet their presence was a constant reminder of the fragility of life at court. It was a solitary existence, marked by unspoken dread, where the greatest reward was simply surviving another day, another meal. Their bravery, though often unacknowledged, was extraordinary. The threat of poison extended far beyond the royal kitchen. Gifts of fruit, bottles of wine, or even personal items like clothing could be tainted. Therefore, the taster's vigilance had to be ceaseless, applying not just to the meals served at the table, but to almost anything the monarch might consume or interact with. Servants bringing water for a bath, scribes presenting documents, even musicians performing, all were potential conduits for an unseen attack. This necessitated an expansive network of trusted personnel and an overarching atmosphere of suspicion, turning the entire royal household into a fortress against betrayal. Given the life-or-death nature of their role, royal tasters were meticulously chosen. They often came from families with a long history of loyalty to the crown, or eunuchs whose personal ambitions were theoretically curtailed. Training was rigorous, instilling not only the grim science of detection, but also absolute devotion. While their daily existence was perilous, successful tasters were often handsomely rewarded, granted significant status, and held in high esteem by the monarch. They were the ultimate proof of trust, the living embodiment of a ruler's will to survive, even at the cost of another's life. The era of the royal food taster may have faded with advancements in toxicology and modern security, but their story remains a powerful testament to the lengths rulers would go to protect their lives and power. They were the unsung heroes, or perhaps the unwilling martyrs, caught between opulence and annihilation. Their bravery, though born of necessity, ensured the stability of empires and the survival of dynasties. The tales of these individuals, forever bound to the forbidden bite, remind us that even in the highest echelons of power, life could be agonizingly fragile, and trust, the most precious and deadly commodity of all. The royal food taster, a figure shrouded in mystery and fear, represents a unique chapter in human history. Their existence highlights not just the paranoia of power, but also the extraordinary human capacity for loyalty and sacrifice. They stood on the precipice of death with every meal, their very breath a fragile barrier between a monarch and oblivion. Their tales, etched in the annals of ancient courts, remind us of a time when the ultimate luxury came with the ultimate price, and a single bite could alter the course of an empire. A testament to survival, and a chilling reminder of the dark cost of absolute power.